is Dafina, and I recently decided to found this non-for-profit organization called Romanipe. The reason I started this organization, which seeks to fight discrimination against Roma people, is because, well, I'm one of them, and I feel like I was really lucky to grow up in a country where I wasn't faced by this discrimination. Like, there's always ignorance from people, so obviously there's always a comments or two, but I mean, compared to what people face in Europe, I'm really lucky in Canada to only face discrimination that comes from ignorance rather than direct oppression, which unfortunately many of my community faces all over Europe. The event, which celebrates the launching of Romanipe, is called Music Beyond Prejudice.
Roma people have been discriminated in many countries, and unfortunately a lot of people are not aware about that.
And the idea was to get people to come because a lot of people enjoy Romani music, but they don't take the time to, I guess, listen to the words or the lyrics of the songs, which often speak of Roma suffering. Recently, there's been many issues facing the Roma community in Canada because Jason Kennedy, the Minister of Immigration in Canada, decided that Roma refugees were claimed bogus. So he claims that they want to come to Canada to take advantage of the social system, and they're not really facing real discrimination. It's not a good reason enough to seek, I guess, asylum status in Canada. But in fact, it's really shocking to me that those things are said about, you know, a certain group of people from the Canadian government, because I went to Hungary recently and I've seen what people go through. Like, I've seen families who experience attacks. I've seen families who've lost children just because of their ethnicity, and I don't know what Jason Kennedy considers a good reason, you know, to be considered a refugee to Canada. There's been the rise of the Untitled Party, which is an extreme right party, which promotes, I guess, discrimination and almost, I don't want to say elimination of Roma people, but they really organize often anti-Roma protests, and they're the ones who often prone discrimination against Roma.
Not such a happy Easter for the mainly Roma residents of this village in northern Hungary, from which hundreds of mostly women and children have been evacuated this weekend. The reason? The village has been chosen by extreme right-wing vigilante group Vedero as the location for a 3-day paramilitary training exercise.
A bloodstain marks the place where a member of Hungary's Roma community was shot and killed by an unknown assailant. His was the 7th Roma death in Hungary in a year, and the 3rd fatal shooting targeting the Roma community in the past 5 months. In March, a father and his 5-year-old son were killed as they ran from their home, which had been set alight.
I find it's just very shocking that the Canadian government doesn't consider this enough. So there's an influx of people who came to Canada to seek refugee, but unfortunately they're all deported because, Canada now considers Hungary a safe country, which is kind of a big problem for Roma community around the world right now.
Vedero denies it's provoking the Roma, but as a group, Roma are subjected to widespread hostility in Hungary. A group of men accused of killing 6 Roma between 2008 and 2009 went on trial earlier this month. Most vigilante groups enjoy the backing of the far-right Jobbik party, which won 46 seats in last year's election.
If people take the time to leave their families and to come to another country, I'm sure there's a reason for that. So I think that's not fair of the Canadian government for any group, not only the Roma, but I think you should take cases individually, not target an entire group of people just because of their ethnic background. The Canadian government placed billboards in Hungary in the town of Miklós, which is a town that's a majority of Roma people. And the billboard said something along the lines of claimants made by Roma people will be faster denied, you know. So it almost encouraged the Roma people not to apply to Canada because it basically told them that even if they apply, they will be deported almost automatically. And I find it quite shocking because that in itself is a racial policy. I mean, to target an entire group of people based on their ethnicity And often people have this view of Roma, which are like romantic travelers who live a life free worries and who just travel around Europe. And that's actually false, because Roma actually, the reason they do travel, when they do travel, is because wherever they go, they face discrimination and they're often deported from many places. So they travel until they find a place that is safe for them to stay. But 90% of Roma are actually sedentary. You don't seek to move around and travel and live a free-spirited life. Roma life is quite difficult because of the situation they faced in many countries. This launching event was kind of, I guess, everything for the organization, in the sense that like it was an excuse to kind of raise awareness about the issue. It was not only like to get people together for music, but it was really to kind of see people's interest and reaction to this cause and to this issue. So I'm very happy that actually to say that we were able to raise $1,200. And this is really a big achievement, and for me, and just the fact that people, even like 100 people showed up to the event, was really surprising to me. So the organization right now is working on different projects, and the money raised at this event will serve to fund these projects. For example, in a month from now, we're organizing an event in partnership with the Canadian Council for Refugees to speak about the issues that Roma face in terms of immigration in Canada, and as well we want to relate the cause to other ethnic groups that are facing the same issue, because they're not that different. And we are also in Poland working in partnership with an organization based in Budapest, who's organizing a commemoration event of the Roma Holocaust. And in the fall, we will try to organize a big conference which will speak about the different issues that faced by Romani people. And the long-term goal, which is quite ambitious, but is to be consulted on UN and EU policies regarding Roma inclusion.